When I was a 12-year-old boy, all I could think about was cars. I would watch all the car reviews of the guys from Top Gear, Clarkson, Tiff, Needell, and it was basically the poster cars of those days, the Ferrari 360, the 911 Turbo, and in 2002, especially when Lamborghini launched the Lamborghini Murciélago. That was the car that I truly dreamt of hopefully seeing sometimes, maybe taking a picture, and if I was really lucky, sit in one, or maybe even hear it and be able to be a passenger in the car. Never would I have dreamt of being able to drive Lamborghinis as my profession like I can do now, and as I have been so lucky to drive pretty much all modern day Lamborghinis starting from 2014, like this beautiful Aventador S Roadster. But that dream car from 2002 was still very high on my bucket list because I never got to drive one. But that is all about to change, because today Buena Vida Supercar Rentals here in the Netherlands is giving me the opportunity to drive this gorgeous Lamborghini Murcielago. Back in 1998, when Audi bought Lamborghini, a lot of things changed, and Audi started to put their influence, their German engineering, into their cars. And the first car they actually started working on was the Diablo, that was already in production, but for the last version, the 6.0, that was where Audi really started to help and improve the Lamborghini concept, making them more reliable and adding more creature comforts. But it was only until the Murcielago when Audi first launched their first real Lamborghini model. And when it was launched in 2002, a lot of the journalists back in that day were already feeling that this car was maybe getting too modern, too German. The styling was done by an actual Belgian designer, not even by an Italian anymore. And a lot of the comments were actually that it was maybe too tame, that the Raging Bull lost its real character. And it is interesting to see that now, 18 years later, driving this car, you cannot imagine that this car was considered to be too tame. The seating position is completely crooked with my feet all the way to the right. The noise is louder than you can imagine from any current road car. It feels raw, it feels pure. How could they have ever thought that this car was maybe too civilized? Because to me it feels pretty savage. So as the Murcielago was the first car that Audi properly engineered and helped build, it got a lot of very new technology. So for instance, the car always had four-wheel drive, which was also already introduced in the Diablo VT and later on in the 6.0. But the Murcielago is actually the first car with a 6-speed gearbox, and then the E Gear was introduced as we find in this car, the very first Lamborghini with a flappy pedal gearbox, as Jeroen Clarkson so funny calls it. But it was obviously Formula One derived technology. On top of that, this was actually the very first Lamborghini to ever have traction control. And those were some of the things that journalists from back in the day felt that it was not something that you would find on an Italian supercar and that was supposed to be on an Italian supercar. But believe me, it is a good thing that this car has it, because it feels so raw and it feels so edgy that you are very happy that you have those safety nets aboard. So the Lamborghini Murcielago definitely has the definitive supercar design. If you look at the rear with the iconic double exhausts, which still didn't have any sorts of valves, this is just the pure V12 sound of that 6.2 liter 580 horsepower Lamborghini thoroughbred V12 engine. And then we come to this side, we actually have the iconic bat wings, as they were called, the electronically operated vents that open up when the engine gets hot. And the fact that they were called bat wings was obviously because they look like bat wings, but there's actually a second reason, and that has to do with the name. If we open up the door, the iconic Murcielago branding is presented to us here in the door sill, and Murcielago was actually the name of a Spanish fighting bull, which Lamborghini uses for a lot of their names of cars. But what not many people know is that Murcielago actually is the Spanish word for bat. So again, that also then goes back to the bat wings. Funny Italian quirk about this is if you really take a look at this lettering and the font that they use, the R is actually the only letter that is not a capital. Interesting, it's definitely very Italian, and the name Murcielago definitely sounds Italian supercar enough for me. And there we have the glorious heart, the 6.2 liter V12 naturally aspirated engine making 580 horsepower here in the first generation of the Murcielago. This engine was actually derived from the Diablo, which then already was a development from the Countach, which then already was a development from the Miura. The base block of this V12 has been in the Lamborghini family for already 30 years when it found its way into this car. That's why this car has such an iconic sound and is so different to the modern V12 of Lamborghini, because it's actually a completely different engine. But as much fun as it is to talk about this car and as beautiful as it is to behold from the outside, it is about the driving experience. So that is what we're going to do. At the end of the day, when you're driving a car like this, and especially for me, when a dream like this comes true, you really hope that it brings you the excitement and the experience that you hope from it, that it has built up over these last 18 years, looking at it and seeing it and hearing it here and there. And believe me, it makes that experience absolutely exactly what I wanted it to be. This 6.2 liter V12 has a howl to it that you just don't hear in any cars anymore, and it actually is also very different to the Aventador's engine because that car was completely new. The engine in the Aventador, the 6.5, was a completely new block, a completely new Lamborghini purpose-built V12, and this was a previous engine with a completely different character, and you still feel that. And then together with this E Gear gearbox, yes, it is a little bit clunky and not up to modern standards, but it still shifts as fast as you would do yourself when you would have the manual gearbox, and it gives you that same excitement. The only thing is it feels a little bit unnatural because you're not operating the clutch yourself, the car is doing that, but I mean, it gives perfect blips on downshifts with the best noise and also an acceleration. It adds to the drama, it adds to the excitement and the experience of the car. Those downshifts never get boring. This car doesn't even have an automatic function like I do have in the Aventador. You have to use the pedal shifts all the time. The only thing you can do is engage sport mode, which is a different calibration for the engine, the throttle map, and especially the gearbox. And that is it, that's all you can do. Sure, you can switch off the traction control, which I'm not going to attempt, especially not on a public road, obviously, but believe me, even for a guy like me with such experience with these cars, this is an intimidating car. And much like the Aventador, what stands out to me is the fact that you get such a special feeling and such a sense of occasion, even when you're driving 20, 30, 40 kilometers an hour on a little public road like this. This is what supercars are all about. It's the sensation, the raw rumble of that engine behind, just the fact that you're so engaged in driving, which is lost in so many cars nowadays. People are on their phones, which they shouldn't be. People are doing all sorts of stuff and are thinking about automated driving and driving assists. Well, this car is very, very far from that, and that's what I love about this. This is engaging. This makes me want to drive, and it's the only thing you can think of when you're behind the steering wheel of this car. What an experience, and I can't thank the guys at Buena Vida Supercar Rental enough for giving me the opportunity to actually drive this car and meet my hero from when I was a little kid. What a special thing. What a special car, and I'm so glad that it doesn't disappoint. How can it disappoint when it makes a noise like this?
Formula 1 sound.
Wow, what an experience. What an experience. Yeah, this is definitely a dream come true. Thank you so much for lending me the keys to this gorgeous Murcielago and making my dream come true. Driving my dream car here with you guys was an absolutely special experience. And you have so many more dream cars inside, don't you?
Yes, we have 25 supercars in stock for rental. From the Lamborghinis, we have 5 different types. This is the Murcielago. We have also the Gallardo, the Huracan LP610, the Huracan Evo Spider. We driven on it on Imola circuit.
Yeah. It was a
and
cool
having
experience.
a lot of fun with Jeroen. And we have the Lamborghini Aventador S. Like Jeroen has got also the S, but we have got the coupe.
For everybody out there that wants to try their own dream car, there's a very big chance that these guys have that dream car here in their inventory and able and ready for you guys to rent. So if you want to check that out, make sure to go to their website, Buena Supercar Rentals, or Buena Vida Supercar Verhuur in Dutch as it's called, and they'll make your boy dreams come true. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did so, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to subscribe as well if you haven't done so already, because many more videos will come, and I'll see you guys next video.